a couple of weeks since we've had the opportunity to get together. Just want to kind of go over a couple of things that we've had happen that have been certainly where the city has looked incredibly well. It always does. 4th of July was a great event. I want to thank Sertoma and their team, thank the county, but also thank Peter Mouget. If you went to see the symphony, where I was, it was a great event. That followed the Parks and Rec, had done a great job. They've done both the, they had the Air Force Band the week before and then had the symphony that week. Those were great events, and we certainly thought Pensacola always looks good when we're celebrating our American heritage. Obviously this weekend was also 4th of July, also Blue Angels, so a big weekend as well. Was out at the beach, I had a good time. Andrew, I saw several of your posts. I know you were out there watching the Blues, so it looked like it was a good time. Always enjoyed the Blue Angels, another great event for our area. Also, in the middle of all those things, we did have the groundbreaking for ST Engineering, which was very good to see that begin to move forward. Construction is started and it is happening moving forward on Hangar 2, which is element 1 of Project Titan. Element 2 of Project Titan is Hangars 3 and 4. We'll be looking hopefully to break ground on those about the time this one is completed in the fall of next year, and then those will take about a year to complete. So again, we are moving forward with our corporate partner ST, and we believe the hangars will be great for the airport and what's going on there, but really more importantly, creating jobs and workforce training as we move forward. I'm sure we'll see more of those things coming out, the importance of what that means. There are a couple of things that are happening, personnel changes. I was going to read a letter that I sent to all the employees, so I had this here for the press, and you're more than welcome to get it. It was from last Friday. It said, "Today I received the expected resignation letter from Keith Wilkins, City Administrator, effective December 17th, 2021. Keith will continue to serve in his position through the end of the fiscal year, September 30th, 2021, beginning October 1. Keith will be an advisor to the new City Administrator until he leaves the city in December. I'd like to thank Keith for his service to the city and the community, and most importantly for his friendship over the past 20 years. Keith has had a tremendous influence on the improvements of Pensacola, Escambia County, and Northwest Florida over that time. Between his service at Escambia County and the City of Pensacola, Keith has led our community through economic expansions and success, but also challenges like Deepwater Horizon and COVID-19. His leadership and environmental stewardship will continue to impact the region for years to come. I'm grateful that I've twice had the opportunity to work with Keith professionally. There's no doubt that his support and friendship has made me a better leader and a better person. While Keith will be leaving us professionally, he and Joan will continue to be our neighbor on Bayou Davenport. I hope you'll join with me in thanking Keith for his service and wishing him the best on his retirement in December. So again, this is something that we knew was going to be happening, but I did at least just want to let everybody know that Keith will be leaving, and we will be moving forward with the new city administrator starting with the first of the fiscal year. He will continue to be here until December 17th, although I think you have a lot of time off that we may not see you as much to get the advice, but we certainly appreciate the time you have put in here as administrator. There's no doubt from the beginning, dealing with the shooting in NAS and the cyber attack to going through COVID-19, there are a lot of things we went through in your tenure, and we appreciate what you've been able to help us get through that. So we very much appreciate that. I will say I see Brad in the back in Public Works. They've done a great job. I'm very excited that we have been awarded $500,000 grant from Florida Department of Environmental Protection Green Stormwater Infrastructure Program, which will allow the city to incorporate green infrastructure concepts into a flood mitigation project on Barrancas Avenue. It's one of the things we've been talking about here. We talked about the need for us to improve challenges that we had with places like Barrancas. So we're very happy to get that funding and be able to do that work. The grant will allow us to continue ongoing efforts to improve water quality of our local waterways, and we're implementing environmental features in the flood mitigation project that will ultimately reduce flow pollutants in environmentally sensitive Bayou Chico and will help maintain a cleaner, healthier bayou. Through the grant, the city's project will be a green stormwater infrastructure case study with FDEP and will help collect data to develop future case studies on green stormwater infrastructure. The grant application effort was led by Pensacola Sustainability Coordinator Mark Jackson, with significant contributions from city engineer Brad Highnote and city engineering specialist Chris Molden. I'd like to thank all of them for their hard work on this grant and securing the funding for the city of Pensacola. So Brad, your team with Chris and with Mark also, thank you very much for what you've done. This weekend is no different than the other weekends. We got a big celebration again, another big celebration, 200th celebration this Saturday. Will be the 200th anniversary. Commission would like to invite all the public to Florida's territorial bicentennial and Escambia County's 200th anniversary on Saturday, July 17th at the Historic Village Museum Plaza. That's basically 120 Church Street in Pensacola. That's behind the UWF's historic property, the old City Hall. There will be a variety of events on Saturday, starting at the Santa Rosa Creek Tribe offering a blessing on this important day in Florida's historic downtown Museum Plaza at sunrise at 6:30. At 10 a.m., a formal program will take place in Museum Plaza, exactly 200 years after the exchange of Spanish and American flags. After remarks from elected officials and dignitaries, there will be an additional events, including an essay reading, singing of God Bless America by Leo Day, and playing the Star Spangled Banner by UWF Band. There will also be a reenactment of the exchange of flags from the Spanish flag to the American flag, concluding with a Navy flyover. Immediately after the event, we'll be unveiling a historical marker that myself and Escambia County Chairman and District 4 Commissioner Robert Bender, a time capsule will be stored safely at the UWF Historic Trust, which will be reopened in 25 years. So we have a lot of things going on. 200 years is a big deal for us to certainly have been a part of the United States, and we're happy to celebrate that here. So I'm very excited about this day, and it'll also be the 200th anniversary, or 200th birthday of Escambia County. So hopefully you'll come celebrate with us this weekend. Reminder, resident satisfaction survey. We are conducting our annual resident satisfaction survey and encourage all citizens to participate. City residents were asked to complete the survey online at uwf.edu/HOS resident survey or by phone at 850-495-2666 by Friday, July 23rd. City Council meeting this week. We will have Monday will be obviously today, the agenda review in this room. We will have that here at 3:30, and then on Thursday at 5:30 down in the chambers we'll have our meeting. COVID-19, according to Florida Department of Health, for the week of July 10th through July 8th, we had a positivity rate of 10%. The city is no longer tracking hospitalizations since we have not exceeded 50 combined hospitalizations for more than 3 weeks. We continue to be in touch with our healthcare providers, and should they see something that is becoming significant, they will be in touch with us. I think one of the things that's important as we continue to work through the vaccination, and the vaccination is showing, even though people are continuing to get COVID-19, we were seeing fewer and fewer significantly adverse cases, either hospitalizations or certainly worse, fatalities. Both of these things are a combination of us just seeing more individuals vaccinated, and I think it's something that we will continue to work at and ask and try to get more people vaccinated. Certainly from our own workforce, we want to make sure that our workforce is able to get out there and do the work that they need to do for the citizens. It's very critical, so we certainly will do all we can to make sure they also have that access to getting COVID-19 vaccinations, and we hope all of you that have not gotten vaccinated will be vaccinated. We think this is incredibly important in pushing down the intensity and severity of COVID-19, because obviously COVID-19 is still existing with us and will continue to be here with us, but it does mean that without the severity we can continue to go about our daily operations, and certainly that's very important at the City of Pensacola, because we do a lot of things our employees do as we continue to do that. I'm also excited to announce that the City of Pensacola is partnering with the shared electronic scooter company, Bird Rides, to provide e-scooters to the city beginning Monday, July 19th, offering residents and visitors a new way to explore Pensacola. For a long time, we've had this out there, our program, test program. We've been waiting to get somebody to come forward, and now Bird Rides has come forward. Bird currently operates e-scooters in more than 250 cities globally, and they will deploy up to 250 scooters in the franchise area as a part of a one-year pilot program in the City of Pensacola. Bird will offer scooters to residents and visitors in order to reduce carbon emissions as well as traffic congestion roadways. Scooters also offer residents without cars another transportation option. The cost for Bird is $1 to start and 39 cents per minute to ride. Bird has several cost assistance programs available, such as a 50% discount to eligible riders, including low-income Pell Grant recipients, select local nonprofit organizations, veterans, and senior citizens. Bird also offers free rides for healthcare workers and emergency personnel. We'll be sharing more on our website at cityofpensacola.com and City Facebook. Stay tuned. We will also have Bird representatives here next week at the press conference, so we hope you will be here for that. And again, we've had this program for at least this pilot program initiative for now over a year, but we finally got somebody to move forward with it. That again also goes certainly to Mark Jackson and the work that he's been doing, and we're excited to see what we can do there, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, we know there are challenges. We hope we've done enough to provide the good things but avoid the challenges, but obviously that's what the pilot is going to allow us to see what we can do. So we're excited to get that going, and hopefully you'll be here next week as we start that launch. So I was going to turn it over, but I was going to say, Andrew, you weren't here 2 weeks ago, and I was most disappointed because I'd hoped that we were going to be able to discuss how I missed you running through the new water park the new water feature at Legion Field in the May Center. So we missed you at that one, but I hope you get out there and get a chance to try it. Casey does have pictures of me in the fountain, so I did do it. But other than that, we're excited. A lot of good things happening this summer, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Andrew,
can you talk a little bit about your goals for the $100 for vaccination program that you're asking the City Council for this week?
Yeah, no, certainly part of what the ARPA money that we've got is to figure out how we can deal with better vaccination. We are looking at the critical needs of what we do. We serve public. We do public safety. We do your public infrastructure. We pick up your garbage. We take care of your parks and rec. It is vitally important that our workers show up. We're probably like everybody else. We got about 40% of our 800 people have been vaccinated. That means 60% haven't. If there's a way we can entice them to do it, then we're going to try that. We're using the free market system. We're not going to force anybody to do anything. I think the free market system is incredibly good. So if you can give somebody an incentive, and that's exactly what the federal government told us to do with some of these things, so we're bringing that forward. It's our hope that they will do that, and that will help us lessen the severity of what may happen and the potential of getting a number of people sick. We can't afford to have people down. We're back open. We see, whether it's going to a restaurant, whether it's dealing with even some of the most simplest things, what everybody is dealing with in labor shortages. So at the city, we don't want to have any labor shortages. So we are making sure that we have the opportunity for our employees to get vaccinated. And if it's a way to induce them, we're not going to force them. We're going to use the free market enterprise system to encourage them.
Do you have any reason to think that $100 is the difference between somebody saying no and saying yes?
I don't, Andrew, but I mean, we'll find out how many people actually take it up, and then we'll know what it is. So again, I think it's much what we talked about Civicon. Little things that you can do trial and error that really aren't that big a difference, big significant cost. The funding was there. It was provided to us by the federal government. It's one of the things that was encouraged by the federal government. So let's give an opportunity to look at it. I mean, I look at too many other businesses and what they're dealing with. We saw what happened with sanitation back in May when we couldn't pick people's And if you remember how upset people were, they couldn't get their stuff picked up. Well, we should take every effort to make sure we don't have a problem here. And I think offering an individual $10 to hopefully entice them to get vaccinated is a good thing.
Mayor, on the council's agenda, there are 3 proposals for Maritime Park lots 4 and 5. Do you plan on making a recommendation?
We do not at this point. We just got those in at the end of June. What we are going to do is today we've put it on a discussion item. We are going to discuss with them today what's going on. We talked last Tuesday with Council President Moore, who basically thought that trying to bring something to this week was going to force it too fast. And he said, I have the capability to call a special meeting. I'll call a special meeting. So we went that afternoon, met with staff. We told them what we were going to do, and we're shooting, I believe it's the 3rd week of July. So it's next week. I think we're going to have it is what Council President Moore said. The council already had another meeting. He's going to schedule a meeting to look at it. So they've been provided the information, but we're just going to have a discussion item this afternoon, and then we'll be looking to come forward. We got 3 proposals. They're all a little unique in the sense that none of them are actually fit with what is there related to zoning and a variety of other things. But, I think it's a discussion point. And as Andrew has told us, much in this case, it's not total winners and losers. All we're picking is someone to give about 60 days to negotiate with and see if we can actually come to a deal. If we can't, it's good to have backups because you can just go from number 1 to number 2. It keeps some of the pressure on your negotiation with number 1 who you select. So overall, I think what we're going to be looking for, Rick, is we're going to be looking a little bit at what they've provided, but I think we're going to be looking at more at the person who's provided. What's their track record? What have they shown they have capacity to do it? Do they have capacity and show they've been able to participate with the Covenant for the Community? Are there a number of things that they bring to the table? Does their product help create what we want to create over there and the things that we've asked for? So, I think these things are going to be interesting in discussions, and I think ultimately we still have to do some public infrastructure over there in that parking garage. At the same time, I'd love to see it produce something over there. We've got some neat things to look at. We're going to talk to the council. But I thought what was interesting is the other day, Councilwoman Broughton and I were talking about something. She had a bunch of people here, and she was planning to. It looks like she went to Savannah and just loved what she saw in Savannah. They had taken the old, I think it was a power plant, and turned it into a hotel and all these other things. And she was just impressed by the whole thing. So she got to know Van Johnson, who came down here, the mayor, who had been here for Parent University. So she'd gotten to know him. So we were talking and planning a visit to go to Savannah next spring, in spring of 22, with the chamber, and we're looking at doing that. She had wanted to go there and look stuff, but we was on the phone with Mayor Johnson, and she was asking him a variety of questions. She said, well, how, what did the city do? What all that stuff? He said, well, all of this was basically private sector money that came in and built all this. And she said, well, what did the city have to do? He goes, the city only had to do one thing. We had to pay for a parking garage. And I just held my hands up and said, yes. I told you, got to build a parking garage.
So basically, of these 3 submittals, the council, you will eventually ask the council to approve one plan, but
one to negotiate. Correct.
Because will the plan come as part of the negotiation?
Plan will come as part of that negotiation, and we'll explain to all of them that there is a zoning over there, the new zoning, and they're going to have to comply with the zoning. So it'll give them a chance to refine what they're doing and deal with the numbers that we start negotiating with them. But again, the good news is it's not like you're saying no to the other 2 if you choose one, because if you don't work out with one, you can go to the next one. So I do think there is going to be a little bit of concept, but I think much more will be the developers we're approving. And tonight we're just going to be discussing that. I think the actual special meeting will happen the following week. That's what Council President Moore wanted to do. Yes, John, I'll get to it.
One of the proposals that was submitted, I think it was the Inspired Dawson group, talked about a pretty good-sized parking garage to serve the people you're already committed to, plus the new people, the hotel, all of that. But they also have in there something about the cost of this construction will be borne by the shared users. Can you go into that a little bit as you understand it?
Again, I think a little bit of the parking garages, again, that they're going to be looking for the city one way or another, whether how the city does that, we're going to have to contribute. I mean, just like we did with I can't even think of the name of them. Forest Hills, Silver Hills. Silver Hills asked us to help with that, and again, we looked at it as sort of a unique way, one way or another. They're going to probably put parking in for themselves, and we're going to require them to put parking in for their use. But the parking that's for everyone is going to have to be contributed some way or another. Whether it's we get rent from the user and we pay for it, or what we did sort of up front. I don't know if we'll get somebody like Silver Hills before that would agree to pay for it all up front. I always like to pay for it up front, but I know some of the council was not as enamored. But anyways, it certainly, I like that better. I like that better than having to borrow it some other way. Obviously, the interesting part about that one is they did go well over the parking numbers that we had before. But part of the way they financed it was by going up 21 stories. At this particular time, that's not consistent with what we passed for that area. I mean, obviously, we'll communicate that to them. I think that's when you saw Silver Hills and other people. That's why the size of the garage came smaller. Obviously, they needed smaller use, but it sort of speaks to what we've talked with Andrew before. Is if you allow more units to be built there, that land becomes more valuable. If you shrink the number of units, I think 2 years ago we kind of went through that exercise. We determined the zoning we wanted. We determined we wanted 6-story buildings at max. So if we went further inland, we could get higher buildings that could look out over. I mean, there's a part that kind of we see that with other cities. Use that same design. So again, I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong way. I'm thinking we've already made the determination. So we're not looking to go. Yes, it could be more valuable if we went 21 stories, but I don't think that's exactly the discussion we've had with staff. Staff hopes to have all their analysis done by Friday. So that's why we're looking at next week. We're looking to get staff analysis out to the council members by Friday. Jim?
Well, I just wanted to clarify, because it's an agenda add-on item for the conference, but it's not going to be put on Thursdays.
No. In fact, it wasn't an add-on item. It had its place in there. It was a placeholder. We already had it there. Last Tuesday, we made the decision to move from an actual agenda item to a discussion item.
And is it still? Obviously, this is just for lots 4 and 5, but it's still your view that really the other lots really can't be developed until this is. I mean,
we've discussed some things, and we're going to be talking going forward. We have had some communication back again with Valencia on parcel 7, so we are still having some discussion on that. There were some things that were like, well, hey, just put in a parking lot on lot. Was it 6 and use that? And again, that would be more cost to us. We're still working conceptually on getting the plan set up. I think there's still enough time. We've communicated at least a little bit that one of the things that's holding us out is we do think that the parking garage is going to be essential for us to figuring out the other parcels. However, we have not closed the decision that we could look at something else, like throwing a temporary parking lot somewhere else. That would not be my favorite thing to do. It would just be the temporary parking lot would be extra infrastructure that you would eventually have to tear out. So you'd be paying for something you'd eventually tear out. But again, I'm open to discussion. I'd rather see 4 and 5 happen with a garage that allows for everything else we want to see happen. So that would be my preference. But Jim, you know how it is. I mean, nothing. I mean, I would have preferred not to have COVID-19, but that didn't happen. So we just got to be prepared. In a perfect world, I could figure out how this would all get done. But we live in a world where things change every day. Yes.
I have a question, probably for Amy on the port.
Okay.
Just driving by, it's just exoskeleton now on the. It's going to be the Streamline Boat building. Is that all just a normal deconstruction to reconstruct? Is that
That
what
is,
you're doing?
that is obviously what happened with that facility. There were a couple of things. We knew they were going to go in and alter it. Then the good news was they were drafting up plans. They were going to go alter the building, and then Sally came. And Sally kind of gave us a chance to, look at things a little bit creatively. Now we had to figure out what we were going to get in insurance proceeds and be able to do that. And again, it took us probably 4 or 5 months. We had, I guess, looking at Amy back there, we had some disagreements around about what the insurance company originally told us they would give us for it. We had negotiations. We got to a number that we thought was suitable. We're now we're working with that and working with the team that was going to alter it, and so kind of putting all that funding in together to figure out their alterations. Like, we know how much we would have put into it to fix it back up to what it was. So we're simply putting it in one package. And they know they're responsible for everything else. So part of it was the deconstructing, and then the reconstruction portion of it. So that's turned loose over to them. They're starting that construction and moving forward. We're excited to see Streamline get over there. We know they want to get over there. I tell you what, I've never seen so many boats as I saw this past weekend. Clearly everybody did buy a boat last year, because you could almost walk from Pensacola to Gulf Breeze across the Sound. I couldn't believe it. I was at Emerald Isle, and I've always seen the Sabine, but I'd never seen the area behind Quietwater quite as significantly busy with boats as it had. I felt like I could have gotten out and just walked from boat to boat and made my way to Gulf Breeze if I needed to. Fortunately, I got out fast enough, and we were able to get home and beat much of the traffic. So it was good. It was good to have the bridge open in 4 lanes, and our whole goal right now is getting 17th and the whole intersection back open. We were told, hopefully the end of July, although they didn't give us any official dates, but those were discussions that we were kind of discussing. Obviously, weather has been significant, so I think hopefully, I'm hoping somewhere in August this happens, but that's going to be big. We see some complaints about traffic on 14th. I get it. I think that changes once the whole thing comes back in on 17th. It'll be better for everyone. We have probably significantly more traffic going up 9th, and I know there are some challenges with those 2 stoplights and some other things. I think all of it equals out once we get 17th back open. So I don't think we're going to go do anything rash and changing up traffic just because that's going to solve itself probably in about another 6 weeks.
Also on the port, the Jeff Bezos is going up, but I assume our ship is not going to be involved in that, the one that's here. Do we know when
It's
that's
still-
going to be?
It's about another year, correct? Okay.
Okay.
Mayor, with your conversations with the hospitals.
I am having conversation with the hospitals.
Let me finish my sentence. The Delta variant, what kind of feedback are you getting on the Delta variant?
We didn't discuss Delta variant, I would say, just together. Rick, I would say the one thing I think that we have discussed about is the idea that their feeling is, and everybody in the medical community is, the more this thing mutates, the less severity it gets. In other words, it can certainly become more contagious, but typically as it becomes contagious, and I'm not a scientist that studies viruses, but at least this is what they tell me is some of that is natural that we want to occur. I don't know about the Delta variant specifically, and they haven't told me anything. We have discussed what they're seeing as far as hospitalizations. Their discussion the last time we talked, now again, Florida Department of Health ended all reporting about the 1st of June. We kept out through another month of June. Worked with all 3 hospitals. Let me say a huge thank you. It was Lisa, Keisha, and Doug at those 3 hospitals, and those 3 individuals for over a year emailed me every day what their hospitalization totals were, and we totaled it up, and Casey and I put it together. Didn't matter if I was on vacation somewhere else. Didn't matter if Casey was on vacation. We got it together. We put it in and had that update every single day. Those individuals. The hospitals did ask at that point that if they could relieve those individuals from some of those responsibilities, only in the sense that if it was not threatening to them, And that's why we said, yes, okay, give us to the end of June if it doesn't get over 50. But obviously, if something comes back and it becomes more threatening to you, more intensive to you, please come back and get us. But their position has always been, COVID is not going away. People getting COVID, people being sick and having to go home, we will always have that. The problem is, do we have it to severity where people are going to the hospital, clogging up hospital resources, and then having fatalities? At this point, that's not what we're having. And I think even though we have only 40% of the population vaccinated, it's clearly making an impact. Now, yes, would I like to have more of the population vaccinated? Yes, I would. I think that would just be better for all of us. But at the end of the day, people are still going to be getting COVID, but if they don't have to get the significant severity of it, it's kind of like somebody explained it to me. It's kind of like when the Europeans came here and the Indians had no defense, and even that didn't stop people who were the Europeans from getting these things, smallpox, but they didn't typically die of it, whereas the Indians were just totally decimated by it. So I think if you have the vaccination, you're more than likely. It doesn't mean you won't get it. It doesn't mean things won't happen to you, but it does mean that you're less likely to be killed by it or have severe reaction. And so because of that, I think it's certainly something good. From our standpoint, workforce is huge. What we do every single day, we depend on having everybody there. And the last thing we want to do is getting people coming in and then not knowing who's vaccinated, who is. We try to stay out of that whole thing. We don't want to know your business. We're not forcing you to get vaccinated. But it is important. If you could get vaccinated, it would help all of us in the workforce. And we're certainly trying to do that from the city. And again, we are not going to force everybody to do it. But we are going to use the free market enterprise system. And if we can entice people with what we want to see, the behavior. I'm a big carrot guy. I hate the stick. I'm a big carrot guy. If I can give somebody $100, I don't know, Andrew, if it works. I mean, you and I both went in and got it done without $100, so I don't know what it will do. But hopefully, if it does, we hope it will work. And again, we're not going to use the stick. We're going to use the carrot.
Mayor, can you talk about the agreement to reimburse the upgrades of Blue Wahoo Stadium? I know that's gone back and forth. Now it's kind of a reimbursement.
It's on this. It is. It's on this. We'll be doing that today at agenda review. The Wahoos are going to. They are looking to just take their 10-year, take their next 2 5-year options they had and go ahead and exercise those for 10 years. Part of the deal is the city is responsible for upgrades. Part of the upgrades that that MLB has talked about is we've got to change out and go to artificial turf. We've got to do the lights, and we got to move the bullpens out of the field of play. Roughly about $2 million worth of stuff. We're getting that money from the CRA. Basically, what we're going to do is there are a few different places we're pulling it from. The biggest impact of this whole thing is probably Rouge Street is going to get delayed a couple of years, the implementation of some of the improvements we want to make to Rouge Street. It's not like we're not going to make those improvements. They're simply going to be delayed a couple of years. But we think Rouge is important to the overall concept of what we're doing in downtown, but probably in no way has offered as big a return as the stadium. So the $2 million going into the stadium at this particular time is much more significant. It was about a $1.6 million project on Roos. We're just going to delay Roos. We're not getting rid of Roos. We're going to delay Roos, and as soon as we see, and we're not even sure how long that delay will be. It could be shorter because every year we tend to bring in more money from the into the CRA, and certainly as we develop more, we'll bring more money will be coming into the CRA. But at the end of the day, right now, what we see is probably a 2-year delay of Roos, and we're able to get the stadium stuff done. That also extends baseball into Pensacola for another 10 years. That is huge and a big deal. And I don't think we should lose sight of the fact that we're gonna secure baseball in Pensacola for another 10 years. That's the maximum Major League Baseball will contract with the city. So we're excited. We think this will be a good deal for the Wahoos and be a good deal for the city of Pensacola. And it'd be great for the CRA. I mean, we think the $2 million to make those improvements we can get by just delaying construction of what we want to do on Rouge Street.
guess a follow-up to that is, you know, the stadium brings in money to the city every year. I guess what has that not been set aside over the last few years to
You know, again, I'm not in charge of the CRA. You know, the council is, and I get it. What was a little interesting is they have projects into infinitum, and as long as the money's there, these projects get done. I might do things a little bit different way of how I analyzed it, but at the end of the day, it's a case of they have projects, and it's just a sliding scale moving it around. Do I think the improvements at the stadium are more important than this particular time at Roosh? Yeah, I think they are. I think they clearly show a significant better return. Now, that's not to diminish Roosh Street or the individuals who live or use Roosh Street. They absolutely need those improvements. We're going to do those improvements, and they are worth getting done. But is it worth us to stop a couple of years and go ahead and do the stuff at the ballpark? Absolutely. And again, I don't. CRA is not really my emphasis as much, so I don't get into how they do it. I might do it a little bit differently, but that gets back to, it was all a perfect world, Jim. I am the mayor, not the king, so I try to explain to people I have to comply with all the other rules that are out there, and there are a lot of other people that want to do things a certain way, and my job is to work within that framework. So this is one we thought was worth coming in. We're going to ask the council. We think it's worth the $2 million on the stadium, and we think securing baseball for another 10 years in Pensacola is the right thing for us to do. Yes.
Mayor, over the 4th of July weekend, we got a call from somebody who was visiting Veterans Memorial Park that they tried to use the new restroom down there and it was locked. Could you talk a little bit about how you and the board, or the city and the board, are working out?
We're working through that. We're hoping to. I can't ever tell whether, it's always interesting. You know, they always print when you get sued on the front page, and they don't ever print when you actually the suit goes away. But the suit seems to have gone nowhere, you know, we still have a little bit of. We're still trying to figure some things out. We did have a meeting with the board. We did approve 3 times a day cleaning over there. We're ready to implement. I think there were some things that we were still working through the lawsuit that was out there, but it seems to be going nowhere. I don't control where we are on those things, but I mean, I think the city would love to do that and love to have that. Brian Cooper back there has priced it. We're ready to go with it once we have an agreement set with the park board. But I know some of that's still lingering out there with the lawsuit that seems to go nowhere other than it was filed. And again, that's sometimes people just file lawsuits because they like to create the sensation, the publicity at the time. But then they, again, I tell people all the time, you can sue the city anytime. It doesn't mean you're going to win. When I was with the county, I used to say you can sue the county anytime. It doesn't mean you're going to win. We get a lot of lawsuits. If we did something wrong, we'll have to deal with it. If we didn't do something wrong, then that happens most of the time that we end up in issues at the city. But we're going to work through it. But that's our goal, John. That's absolutely 100% our goal. We have discussed that with the board. We've even gone out and got pricing, and we're ready to do it. We're just waiting to implement it, and when we know we're going to have it, and it all works out. I do think there were some last minute things that they were getting finalized on from their standpoint. I saw those going to Jonathan Bilby probably the end of June, so I think they're through with that. I think we were through with getting the rest of the stuff in the park set up, so it should be happening. The only thing I don't know about is where we are with that lawsuit, but that is the goal.
You see the irony in having a bathroom on the city park and it being locked, people can't get in there?
Do I see the irony of somebody filing a suit against veterans trying to have a restroom that we can have a park open for people to be able to use? Yeah, I mean, I see all that. I mean, I gotta work with what I can. I would love the perfect world where I didn't have to work with any of these things, but that's what makes this job fun is it's all the external stuff that you don't get to control. All right, well, thank you very much. Hopefully y'all will join us for the celebration of 200 years on Saturday. It should be a great day for Pensacola and Escambia County in Northwest Florida. Thank you very much.